Alright, I've been seeing people panicking about gas shortages with these trucker rallies going on out there right now, and I'm not sure if it's true what the rumors are going on that oil production has stopped and they're not shipping it or whatever it might be. But I've seen people running out and grabbing jerry cans such as these and going to fill those up, and they're really inconvenienced with them, and I don't recommend people looking to store fuel in these jerry cans. They're great for mobility if you want to take some gas with you on a road trip, but if you're looking to store fuel at your property for a long term, I would recommend you getting one of these 45-liter drums. That's what we have on the Homestead. We have 4 of them, and we keep them usually filled with diesel because we have a diesel generator that is behind me, and the diesel truck as well that we run more than the gas. And then we also have one container of regular gasoline that we use for our smaller generator in case we can't fire up the diesel in the winter when it gets too cold, or if we need to fill up our side-by-sides, our lawnmowers, things of that nature. And one thing I've seen out there is people are wondering how we get the fuel out of the barrels and into the container that you're filling. So whatever it might be, a gas can, or in this instance it's going to be the generator. And there's lots of devices out there that you can use. However, the ones we have, and we have 2 here on the Homestead, are all manual based pumps. And the reason we actually have the manual pumps is, one, they were left here, and we were thinking about getting ones that are battery operated, but then we've noticed how cold it gets out here, and it gets minus 35, minus 40 for like days and weeks at a time, so the batteries don't really do well, and it's hard on the batteries the cold. So we just decided to stay with the manual pumps and not get a electric pump, because there's really no point. As long as Kimberly or myself are functional, the gas can get pumped. And what I'm going to show you today is the 2 different pumps that we have, and the reason that you require the 2 different pumps for each different fuel type. So stay with me. Alright, this is the one hand pump that I have for the diesel fuel, and this is just a regular hand crank. Yes, it's not supposed to be sitting like that. I'm supposed to be putting in a reducer that is sitting right here, but I'm not going to mess with this right now because I have probably about 1/3 of the fuel left in there, and I'm going to start pumping it as much as the pump can get in there, and then I'm going to have to do the rest manually. However, this is the one we prefer just because we do have a longer hose on this, and I can back up the vehicle to the door here and reach the gas tank, no problem. Whereas the other one that I have there that I'll show you is going to be a shorter hose, and I can't reach some places that I need to reach, and sometimes just got to reach them. So moving forward, I got a little lid on this. This is a threaded cap that I have on this, which I really like, because then if this does ever hit the ground and start rolling around, you're not going to gung up the insides with debris or anything like that. And one thing I'm going to note also that before I start here is I do put a additive into the fuel tank as well, and this is by Lucas. lubricants, and this is a fuel conditioner, good for diesel and gasoline. I've been using this stuff for probably about 10 years now, and I absolutely love it. I do notice a difference in the startup and how efficient the engine does run. And I ran them in both fuel and diesel vehicles, and I've never had an issue. So this isn't a paid sponsor by any means, but if you do see this, they usually have them in Princess Auto and other automotive shops as well. So keep an eye out for that. So I'm gonna add some of this into the fuel tank before I start pumping the diesel. That way, once the diesel gets in there, it can start recycling or distributing the additive within the fuel itself, and then I don't have to go in there later with a stick, and you know how that goes. So I'm not sure how much to put in there. I've usually just done my ish measurements, and it's worked out good for me. I used to measure it, but over the years I've kind of realized how much I need per engine, and or sorry, should I say per tank, and went from there. And yeah, I just kind of do that from now on. Just one of those ish measurements, and it typically works out well. Alright, one thing to note, if you do ever get one of these generators, is that they do not run on the miles that you drive, but the hours that you run them. So make sure that you pay attention to that clock for your oil changes, because these bigger engines, they are bigger generators, they need that oil change, so keep that in mind. Alright, now that I have the generator filled with the diesel, and you saw how the pump works, and that was the one that is a lever type pump, and I do like those, but they do have a little bit of tension when you get the gasoline moving. So another one that we have, and like I said, we didn't use it because the hose is a little short, is the one that you just turn or spin, should I say. So you can do the lever action or you can do the spin action, and they both work the same way. It's a really nice way. I think I like it better, but because that one has a longer hose and I'm just simply not interested in changing the hoses around, I like to stay with that one for the time being. But if I was to change things up, which I probably will in the future, I'll change it over to this one just for the diesel one, because now here we are at the gasoline one, and the pump is similar. However, there is one difference. Alright, in front of me I have another lever type pump that we use for our gasoline fuel. However, this one has a union at the connection here just before it gets to the hose, and that union there is for a very important reason, and that reason is this tank right here. This is what is called a fuel filter or a water block, and this will fuel out any water that is in your gasoline, and gasoline is known to stay or not stay as fresh or good as diesel does. So that's why we put the fuel filter on this one, so that and again, because we don't use gasoline all that often, we usually use the diesels. The fuel does sit longer, so it does have time to separate in the tank itself. And we also do use fuel stabilizers on the gasoline when we know it's going to be a long time that since we're going to have to use the gas. So usually in the fall, like I just did now, I put fuel stabilizer in here because we're not going to be using the pressure washer, we're not going to be using the weed whacker, we're not going to be using the gas generator as much, because as long as we can fire up the diesel, we prefer to use that one. We're not going to be using the side-by-side as much, we're not going to be driving as much with the gasoline truck. So there is really no need to use as much fuel or gasoline in the winter, and so in order for it to stay good longer, we do add fuel stabilizers in there. However, this is something that you're gonna have to change out, and actually I have to change this out, and that's kind of why it's separated. And I was actually waiting for my web order to come in so that I can replace it, and it has come in. So I'm gonna quickly show you how we replace these fuel filters on here. Alright, so this is your fuel filter, just like you would have on a car. It's also very similar to your oil filter that you would have in your vehicle as well. So, and they look this exact same, and don't mind that, that's actually just a little bit of fuel, and you can actually hear all the water that's sitting in there. And that's kind of how you're gonna know when the filter is full, is you can hear the water in there, and at the same time you'll notice when you put on a new filter, it's very easy to pump, and as it gets filled more and more, it's gonna seize up more and more, and it's gonna be really tough to pump the fuel. So as you can hear, there's nothing in that one. And basically you just toss it on the same way as or just in reverse as how you did the taking off part, and you're ready to rock and roll. There's really not much to it. If you're wondering what kind of wrench this is called a strap wrench. They come in multiple sizes, and I love them. I've had this one for probably 10 years now, and it's served its purpose very well. And what I like about them is they work like a pair of dogs, that we call them in the trades, or as regular people would like to call them, is channel locks. And just want to balance this here. And the way you work on these strap wrenches is basically you just wrap the strap around, fold it through, and then as you cinch it down, it will tighten on itself, and then it will tighten the device for you as well. So one thing that's really nice about these is you can do a different size of device with one wrench. So like you can see, this one is probably about 2.5 inches around, and I probably could get another 1/2 inch in there, so I could get a 3-inch girth on that one. And I can run it down probably to about inch and a half girth. I've never really tried it on anything smaller than that. If you also are in a pinch, you can use this side, which it doesn't really matter what side you want, but if you want a really good pinch, you could always wrap this around, and then when you're cinching down on something, you have this point here, and you're gonna have a lot more pressure on that than you will on that, and it's just gonna grab a little bit better. So that's basically it. All I gotta do now is put the pump together. I'm not gonna open this up and put the pump in there because first off, I don't have the key for it, and secondly, we really don't need fuel right now for anything. So I just wanted to get this done so that when I do put it in there, it's not something I have to remember to do. And because I was filling up the generator, I figured might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So hopefully you got some good info from this, If there's anything missing that you'd like to add or that you'd like me to kind of elaborate on, please leave us a comment in the description below. But that's that. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.